Hi, I'm Kasim and welcome to my channel. I just want to talk about this big journey that I'm going to be taking, and hopefully I'm going to be bringing some of you guys on that journey with me. So for the last 15 years I've been working in the digital learning space, which is basically learning based on computers. So I've been working with FTSE 100 companies and consultancy firms such as KPMG and an insurance company here based in the UK called Aviva for quite some time. And basically what my role has always been is looking at the digital learning systems and the digital learning outputs that people receive when they have things like their compliance training or onboarding, and or if they're looking to like update their skills, like if they're looking to go into like leadership or something like that. So what does that learning actually look like? So as I said before, I've left and a pretty well paid role, to be honest, which has been paying me about 100,000 every year to go all into AI. And this is a big risk for me. I've got mortgage, family, and all the rest of it. So leaving a well-paid role to go into something which I'm very much new into is a huge risk. But here's my plan, and I really want to just bring you guys on that journey with me. So I just want to kind of make one thing clear. I'm not leaving my income to this AI business. So to kind of rewind a little bit, over the last kind of couple of years, I've had a marketing agency called Unscripted Digital, where we do things like Google ads, Facebook ads for dental practices here in the UK, as well as some aesthetic clinics. And I also have a influencer department, which has around about 35 influencers, which we work with brands to broker deals with. So I'm not just letting my income just go nil on completely zero. Basically, I have my income streams coming from that agency, so that doesn't really put me at complete risk as if I'm going to be just leaving my job completely. So I just kind of wanted to be very transparent on this journey and say that I do have some other income streams coming in, and that's basically what was one of the enablers to why I was basically going all into this new AI solution and this new AI adventure. So within the kind of space that I'm very familiar with of learning and development, the problem that a lot of companies have always had is that they've always come up to me and said, how do we build learning on the go? So what people mean by that is outside of work or even within the work environment, how do we continuously give learning to people when they're not doing their job, basically? So that could be on the bus, on the train, commuting to work, in the gym, just at home doing the dishes, whatever it might be, where you could just basically be learning. And from experience, I've never liked doing e-learning. It's something that we've been able to build as teams, but I've never really wanted to do an e-learning. I mean, when I get an email, it says you have to do an e-learning. I click all the way through it and I just do the test at the end. Now, if you've ever been in a corporate environment, that's pretty much what most people do. They'll have their compliance annual refreshers and they will make you do an e-learning and then an assessment at the end. Now, I've always liked, and because of the marketing background, I've always really appreciated social media and YouTube, and tried to really figure out like, why do people want to watch these videos? Hopefully you're watching mine and subscribing. But what makes somebody really want to understand a video and watch that video to the end, or the audio if it's a podcast, for example? What's making people listen to that? So the things are the journeys, the stories, the entertainment value of that. So there's loads of different ways that in my mind I've always tried to approach the way that we do learning within businesses, and that's by creating podcasts, or by creating videos like YouTube videos. So over the last kind of couple months, I've been obsessed with vibe coding. In particular, two tools. One is being Replit, and one's also been Lovable. There's obviously similarities between the two tools. They're both code. They do both from a prompt help you create a product. Now, my kind of way of thinking about this is how far can I take the vibe coding world? Because there's been a lot of people talk about how you can build a very good MVP, which is a kind of a minimal viable product which you can kind of like demo to people, but it's not actually the full software. So if you're looking to build an app, what it will do so far is that it will build you a kind of prototype, which you can kind of just give out to a couple of people, have people test it. But when you're trying to scale the company, is it the right tool in order to do that? And if you do get stuck, then where do you go? So I've basically built a platform called AudioFlow, which for me is a tool which basically gets podcasts, and we can basically generate podcasts within a couple of minutes. And the way that it works is that you can upload scripts, documents, take some photos of books or whatever it may be, and then you upload it onto the system. The system then allows you to select the voices that you want to choose, and then it basically generates you a podcast, and that podcast is determined by the length of content that you give it. So if you put like 10 minutes worth of content in there, it'll produce a 10-minute podcast for you. And the solution that I've kind of tried to do is how am I going to approach businesses who want learning and to change the format of that learning into podcasts. So basically AudioFlow is that solution. So I've gone all into AudioFlow. I've vibe coded it, and what I'm going to do over the next kind of couple of weeks is take you on that journey of how I'm going to actually sell AudioFlow to businesses. Because with businesses, the cost of a high ticket item might seem a lot if it's a consumer. So if it's a direct to consumer or customer product, trying to charge somebody like £5,000 a month, to me would be a hell of a lot of money. But to a business at scale, that's not a lot. But in order to get through the door of a business, it's a lot harder than it is just to go direct to consumer, because with a business, there's a lot of things that they have to consider, and there's a lot of red tape when it comes to getting through the door of a business. So my previous company, Aviva, for example, we were trying to get a piece of AI software in, and it's taken 7 months because there's so much security that has to get that you have to go through in order to get your foot through the door. But once you're in, and sometimes it's really worth playing that long game. But when it comes to the kind of getting into businesses, there's a couple of things that you need to consider. Is your software that you're trying to do compliant? Because there's a lot of risk when it comes to where's that information going. So one thing businesses don't like is like the fact that if you were to put business specific information onto the platform, is like where's the information going? What LLM is that going to be at risk? Because it could be like really confidential information that they're putting onto this platform, specifically about that company. Now, if a large language model all of a sudden takes that information and then puts it into the kind of open world, that's a huge risk, and that's going to come back to me as a company, because we'll probably get sued. So there's a lot of things that will have to take place before we can actually get our foot through the door when it comes to businesses. So I have to apply for something called ISO 27001 and something called SOC 2. So SOC 2 is basically a document that gets audited, so it audits your software, and it gives you kind of like that kind of validation to businesses that you are going to keep that information safe. And the same with ISO as well, is pretty much the same but based for the UK. So what I'm going to be doing is applying for them audits to happen and become compliant so we can actually sell to the big businesses. And then the kind of marketing strategy is going to be posting a lot over LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's definitely where my kind of customer base sits. Also, I'm going to be targeting kind of L&D roadshows. So one thing I'm going to be doing is going to something called the World of Learning, and that's based in Birmingham in the UK in October, where I'm going to show learning and development people the platform, get them to play around with it, get them to upload information and create podcasts. It won't be business specific information. We'll probably just generate something from ChatGPT and then create a podcast off the back of there. So yeah, this is all new to me, in kind of like going out there and trying to sell a service to businesses, because I've always gone to like smaller businesses. I mean, selling to a dentist is easy because you ultimately get a decision maker straight away because the dentist is the decision maker. When it comes to selling to businesses, you have to go through a team called procurement, and they basically look after the risks and contracts and is this company going to go bust? Is this company going to look at what information is going to be at risk? That they look at after everything, and then they'll basically then get legal in there. They'll get the data security teams to look at the platform to make sure there's no risk there as well. But kind of going back to Lovable, one thing I've noticed with Lovable is it's been great building something, but it's been able to give me a product for obviously relatively cheap compared to going to a developer to get this made. But the problem is every single time that I try something new, it will all of a sudden randomly just edit the code and do something that I wasn't aware of until it's too late. So in my instance, I could be creating something new, at the moment, what I've done is I've got it to generate a blog every single day around learning and development. In doing that, it's basically changed the code in the kind of podcast generation part, where it's not being able to generate me a podcast anymore. And that's the product, that's the thing I'm trying to sell to people. And all of a sudden, it's just one little change has changed something which I haven't told it to change. And this has been really frustrating when it comes to Lovable, because it doesn't tell you, it just does things. And then you're doing something like a demo to somebody, and then all of a sudden things just don't work. And this has become really common because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this, where they're building in Lovable, they've changed something on one part of the platform, and then the other part of the platform, it just doesn't work. So yeah, I think there's lots to kind of think about when it comes to building over these platforms. Replic's basically been the same. I've created on Replit a Islamic coaching app. So basically, if you're looking at the values of like Islam, maybe Muslim, but not as practicing, it's something that I kind of wanted, because I'm like, I don't really want to go to the mosque and ask a question. I don't really feel comfortable speaking to my parents about it. So who do I speak to? So I basically created a voice tool which you can speak to. There's different coaches on there from different walks of kind of backgrounds of life, based off, obviously, because it's AI, it's not real, based off different scenarios and different people. So there's one for like marriage counselling, there's one for career advice, there's one for Islam in general, and there's loads of different variations of voice coaches on there which you can talk to. So that's something that I'm probably going to launch later on in time, but I don't want to kind of launch too many products at the same time because it's not cheap doing marketing. And that's something that we can talk about later on in different episodes, is how I'm actually going to market my products, what's been the approach, how hard has it actually been to get sales, because I just thought, oh, you know what, it's a good idea, I'm going to post about it and talk about it on LinkedIn, and hopefully somebody will bite. But it's been a week since I've launched, and I've not really had any leads from it yet. So doubt starts kicking in, going, "Oh my god, did I just leave my job?" And all of a sudden, this isn't going to work. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's early days. I don't want to just kind of be like thinking that of these kind of scenarios on day one or week one. So I'm going to stop there. I feel like I've been rambling. Hopefully these YouTube videos are going to keep on getting better and better every single time I do it. And if you've got any comments, questions, I'm going to put a link to the actual platform. So any of my subscribers, if you subscribe, I'll give you free access. You can give me some feedback on the platform as well. That'd be amazing. Generate some podcasts, because the other side of what I've basically done is that I'm directing it to consumers. So yes, business is the main point of call, but to kind of generate some income into the platform, I'm targeting students. So people who are doing their exams, they can turn their kind of study notes into podcasts. And that hopefully can get me a different revenue stream. So if I can get some from businesses and then some from consumers, that'll be the ultimate goal. So yeah, I'm not going to keep going on this episode. We'll kind of do another episode in a couple of days' time. And I'll keep, basically what I'm going to do is just talk you through the real progress of trying to launch an AI business, because this shit ain't easy. And it really isn't. So if anybody else is going on this journey, it'd be really good to hear from you. I'd love to start doing a podcast with new founding AI businesses and people who are going on this journey at exactly the same time, because I think it's always appealing to see people talk about their success and how they've made millions of pounds. But what I'd love to do is just talk to starting founders about them going on this journey. And so if you are a founder and you are going on this journey, give me a shout.